have you ever seen an issue with him? I want to know, as a woman. Now you're on the camera.
Yeah.
This is going to go out.
Go on, tell the world I'm horrible.
You're going to both have your opportunity.
Yeah.
From everything you've seen, edited, non-edited.
Yeah.
What was your issue or what's your non-issues
Well,
with
the
him?
first time I saw
Be
you
honest.
speak on something, I remember I wasn't really watching the TV. I just heard it in the background. It must have been on my phone. And I heard you say something. And I was like, is that guy Pakistani? And then someone was like, no. I was like, he's definitely Pakistani. You were saying something that was very familiar for me. I'm Pakistani. So I was like, he must be. And then I found out you grew up in Luton. So I was like, that makes sense. Everything he says, I'm so familiar with it. I would expect nothing less. The men I'm around would think exactly the same way. So I don't find it shocking or misogynist. I'm raised like that.
But do you agree with it? That's not about what you're used to now. I'm asking with what his stance is.
Yeah.
Do you agree as a woman? Because he gets a lot of backlash, but he made a good point.
Yeah.
I've been around him nearly every day sometimes.
Yeah.
I've never seen a woman in public come and say something bad. So
Right.
I want to know, who are these women? Is it a movement? I want to know, because I've never seen anyone say it to me.
I would say one thing. I would say sometimes it can be divisive. Like what we're saying, nice guys finish last, but sometimes nice girls do. And I think let's try and remove the division and focus on society rather than just men have this really bad. I get men have it really, really bad. But society is shit. Women have it bad in some ways, men have it bad. I think women are becoming more and more detrimental. I think that, but it's not really entirely their fault. It's the way society is now structured. So I think let's try and less this division and more how do we fix this, because I want to see families. I want to see, and sometimes what happens is it's not you, but your followers. I always say your followers are this loser guy who's never had options, who now starts saying, fuck women, and it's like, but you haven't earned that status. You can't speak like that because you haven't done the legwork it takes.
She's dissing the war room, bro. She's dissing your Hustlers University, bro.
No. I get they're putting in the work though. They're in some way putting in the work, but it's the guy with not putting in the work who's just listening. The problem is when your message lands on men without money, they can't. It doesn't land properly because they're just saying, "I want lots of women. I want lots of hoes." But it's like you can't fund those women and you can't get those women to submit to you, so you can't emulate Andrew Tate. But you want to, and so that's where we need to kind of educate them. In order to have your views, they have to have your lifestyle.
Valid.
Yeah.
That's very valid. And I feel like I do say it a little bit, but I need to say it more. But I say repeatedly that if you're not, if you're not a top tier male, you can't. Life sucks. And I agree with you about the divisive thing as well.
Yeah.
The only reason some of it comes across divisive, I think, is because a lot of the time, especially in America, I'm arguing against rabid feminists, right? So I'm trying to say, look, blah, blah, blah. But no, that's valid points.
So that's the only issue.
Well, that's the only issue for me.
Okay. Actually, Lubna, it's good you actually met. Lubna's the one who wrote an article backing us when we were doing that event here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as an Arab lady here, it was very good, empowering, because I've noticed one thing: the Western women don't like to feud with Arabic women who are educated. I've noticed that they fear them.
Yeah.
Like with Lubna, when she posts, I see her comments. There's not really anyone going against her with me. It's like, F you, you're this, you're scum. You've got a wife in a picture there without hijab. Your kids are this. Like I get this abuse because But Lubna, what was your issue with his whole cancel? Did you have an issue? What was your issue with Dubai in itself, or some Middle Eastern pockets of Middle Eastern women, this new generation, are having an issue apparently online?
Look, I think that for you to be as famous as you are today, you had to do things in a certain way. You had to be extra controversial, and now you got here. I think the reason a lot of the women were pissed off because it's kind of like you're just turning in the knife. You know what I mean? Telling them like, ooh, we can do this. Like we've got and you can't.
Yeah.
So I think now that you do have that platform, you can actually be really helpful to a lot of women. Like I think a lot of women do agree with a lot of things that you said, and men, but they don't necessarily like the delivery because it's just a little bit like kind of like pissing off.
But it's an amazing platform to create because you won't believe how many racist little white boys are now saying, I want a Muslim girl, I'll do. I want and I'm like, oh, look, you completely eradicated Islamophobia. And it's something like Mo Salah did for a little while in Liverpool. Like they really actually became, and I think anything that, from my perspective, anything that can draw light to a faith that I feel really passionate about, I'm always grateful for whoever shines a torch on that. So
I won't even say it's young white boys, because if you go to Russia, the men are the same as me, same as us, like Russia, East Europe, these kind of places, they're very alpha male, they're very old school, traditional.
Very
I think it's the Western,
so
real Western
Islam
pockets.
comes naturally to alpha men. It kind of is a natural transition because it teaches alpha kind of behavior anyway.
Like, I know people like this, little dislike this, but Vladimir Putin, a lot of people have a negative thing. I see him as a very powerful and influential man. I respect him.
Yeah.
And people say, oh no, I don't. See, people run around and watch the press, how they take it, and the media portrays everything. But if you really study the situation, I respect him as a leader. I've been to Moscow many times. Crime's quite low. It's organised mafia kind of thing. You won't see stabbings and acid attacks. Women are safe. It's still traditional.
Women are really well treated in Russia, like
you have
Dubai.
an issue, you have an issue with your wife. You can call the wife's father. He comes and fixes it. You don't go to a therapist. When she goes, leave him. You're free. You're free. Leave therapy. Pay me more money. The man's evil. You know, that's why I hate therapy. I'm being honest. I know you're a therapist, but to an extent in the West, you know. So I think it's not just the white race. It's pockets of the country where, like you said, this agenda's being pushed. US, UK.
Yeah, but these are completely failed nations. They're completely failed society. If you look at by any metric you can measure a society, whether it's birth rate, crime rate, happiness index, safety, like literally anything you can name, these societies are failing daily. They're getting worse. They're decaying empires on every single level, and it's no coincidence that obviously the men and women aren't acting right, and that's all messed up. It's actually it's kind of funny for me because every time I meet women who are attractive physically, they're like, oh yeah, Andrew, he's not a big deal to that. The women who hate me are, whenever you show, when someone does a video on Andrew Tate, I can look at the thumbnail and go, she likes me. She's hot. She's fine.
But do you know what?
Hotties love me. It's always some troll.
But do you know what it is? Attractive women get an insight into a lifestyle that unattractive women are unaware that
and
even
they don't
exists.
understand.
So when they say things like, "Oh, we spend and we look after our women," they've never accessed that, so they think that's misogyny. And it's like, no, honey, it's amazing. Trust me. Yeah. So they don't understand what it looks like, and therefore they come at it with negativity. But I do think appearance plays a role, both men and women. When I see red pill men that hate women, it's always a guy on computer games and this and the other. Whereas when I see people like you who actually, you can tell you love women, and part of being an alpha man, you love women.
We love good women.
Good women. Yeah, you love good women. You can tell you guys love women. There's no hate towards women. It's just this is how life is. But when you meet the people that hate men or that hate women, it's because they've faced a lot of rejection. Yeah. And the best way to deal with rejection is to minimize the thing that's rejecting you, so they end up just hating the opposite.
And that's it. And I also understand what you're saying also about some of my fans can misunderstand what I say.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. I understand that,
but it's okay. Same with anybody's fans,
when I wrote the article, honestly, like the article is called "What's So Wrong About Andrew Tate?" And a lot of people were like, you know what? We thought we were gonna get pissed off by the end of the article, but we actually really liked it. Like, we don't really like Andrew, but now we're kind of like, okay, he's not pissing us off as much.
Yeah. How do you feel about being so famous at the moment? Does it feel
you've
great?
survived cancellation.
How does it feel being famous?
Saying that guy's got a sniper bullet in that
How does it feel being that? Because the thing is, most people who become famous usually through a sport or which you did, but maybe sport or acting. So there's a long way coming to it. When it's social media, it can be overnight. Yeah. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's a good question. In regards to people disliking me, like you're saying, getting to the end of the article, not really disliking me. In my experience, I've never had a single person see me in person and say a single bad thing ever. Every single man, woman, everyone just is positive. There's some lifestyle changes. I don't go out the house very much. It's a bit of a headache.
Yeah.
But I didn't do it to become famous like that.
Yeah.
But I do feel a massive responsibility. Like when I was saying a lot of my more crazy things, I was saying the same ideas in a more crazy way. But now I understand with a much larger platform, you must be responsible with it. And even like you were saying about fans taking things out of context, etc. So I try and be a little bit more responsible with it while not selling out and getting my point across.
Of course.
I just feel a sense of responsibility mainly.
Well, you're in a position where you can actually create homes in people's lives now. Yeah, and so with that, you can actually make a really important difference.
Yeah, I didn't set out to change the world, but I kind of feel like I'm getting
here now.
So I have to be very careful.
More pressure on you.
You're here now,
mate. You have to be very careful with what you say, but this is why I push the idea of masculine excellence. And when I do say things like, Big G can do what he wants, I'm talking about Big G. I'm not talking about dude. I'm talking about dude.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of emails. I get over 10,000 emails a day, and I get emails from people going, I'm just a normal guy. What do I do? And then you're a normal dude. You can't play by the rules we're even discussing.
Just live a normal life. Just live a normal life.
Live a normal life, right? Yeah, and he goes, well, I don't want this life. I said, well, then you have to become an important man. Yeah. And it's exceptionally difficult to do, but that's